What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Chris on the mic. I hope you're all doing great for this up-and-coming 4th of July weekend. We've just received some breaking news from Entertainment Weekly pertaining to next week's Comic-Con. They've just released their exclusive Comic-Con issue cover for this week, and it pertains to Batman v Superman, of course, one of the most, if not the most, anticipated movie of next year. And this cover looks awesome. It contains the Trinity, and throughout this whole episode, we're just going to describe some of the stuff they release for BVS next year and how, it probably could change our interpretation of how the movie is going to portray these incredible comic book characters, and maybe how the director, Zack Snyder, is going to tackle this movie. Especially, we're going to talk about some of the dialogue they released from certain interviews they got from the cast, including Ben Affleck and the director, Zack Snyder. But first of all, let's talk about this cover picture. This cover picture is awesome. I mean, it's freaking awesome. I mean, me being such a big, comic book fanatic, and, when people ask me, like, who are, like, at the pantheon of comic book characters, the first two names that come out your mouth, of course, is Batman and Superman. But when you're really looking at a female comic book character and who's at the top of that list, most females will say it's Wonder Woman. Especially females who are very into comic books or who are not into comic books, they will probably say Wonder Woman. That's like the most ideal and iconic female superhero. And, when you look, I was just interested in how well they, each actor portrayed their respective characters, mainly through their looks. And I know this is just a cover, so let's not try to blow everything out of proportion. It's still just like a cover they probably took a while back that was probably, photoshopped onto this page. But at the same time, it's just that each character and each actor feels like they got their character's look down packed. And just to go through it real quick, I mean, of course, in the middle, which I love, they have Wonder Woman. Right smack in the middle, they decided, hey, we're going to take our biggest female, character, comic book character, and put her right in the middle of this, dynamic trio of superheroes. And, Gal Gadot looks good. Gal Gadot looks good as Wonder Woman. I could care less what anybody else says right now. We haven't seen her act, I understand, and we'll find out how good she is when we see it, like when we see a full trailer or when we actually see the movie next year. But based upon looks, Gal Gadot has nailed it. She has a nice, fearsome warrior-like, but yet with this sense of exotic elegance to it. She's beautiful. Nobody can deny how beautiful she is. But when you see her in this picture, her fist balled up, that intensity look. But yet at the same time, you're like, you're kind of hypnotized. You're like, she looks like she's about to kick my ass, but at the same time, I want to ask her to marry me, and that's how Wonder Woman is. She's an Amazon. She's from a land of some of the most beautiful women in the world, so I really feel like, look-wise, she's nailed that character. Love her costume, love the color palette. It's not too bright, but it still represents some of the comic book colors with the red and the blue. She has a lasso, she has a sword. I think that's a shield that she might have on her back that's attached to it, or maybe it's a holster for the sword, I'm not sure, but the character looks on point. When you look to the right, you'll see Superman. Now, Superman looks, Henry Cavill looked great in Man of Steel. He looks great here. He has a stern, very, confident look. He looks like he's giving the people's eyebrow a little. But yeah, he looks stern and confident. He usually gives his look a lot when you see a lot of not set photos, but like promo pics sent out from this film and the Man of Steel film. But he looks very proper. It looks like Superman. As you can see, it's a little more modified suit, but it still looks great. And then when you turn to the left, you see Ben Affleck as Batman, or Batfleck as we've been calling him lately. He looks intense. He looks like the guy from the trio that's the Muscle, which is kind of funny because he's the only person in the trio that doesn't have powers, but he looks like the guy that really wants to mess things up. I mean, while the other two, Wonder Woman looks like she's ready to go, ready for battle. Superman looks calm and collected, but Batman looks like I want to break your ankles, I want to break your arms, he looks pissed off. Yeah, we don't know what he's pissed off at. Obviously, most likely Superman, because it's Batman v Superman. But just to look at the character, the eyes. Ben Affleck has nailed the eyes. And I always felt that was one of the most important things to nail in the Batman suit. People think it's the body. People think it's, do you have the bat chin or whatever? I've heard that before. I don't care about that. I don't care about the fighting style. All that stuff can be modified, through training. But the eyes is something you have to act. The eyes is something that you have to portray. And Christian Bale got the eyes in the Dark Knight trilogy. Michael Keaton had the eyes. Even sometimes I saw Val Kilmer had pretty good eyes when he was in the suit. When he was like, he had to give those stern looks. And like, you can see that, like, look at the eyes of Ben Affleck as Batman. And you can really see the intensity. You can see the anger. And, as we go to the next picture, we see Batman and Superman squaring off. Very similar to the scene that we've already seen in the trailer. They're in the rain. This is just more of an up close shot, great for posters. Nothing really new here, but it's great. Once again, look at the facial expressions. Batman looks angry, he looks more intense. Superman looks more calm and has a very, relaxed demeanor about him. He looks more worried. Not worried in the sense of like, he's afraid or anything, but he looks more like, he's trying to understand what's happening, And then as we go to the next picture, which is probably my favorite picture for many reasons, but it's Batman and Wonder Woman. Now this scene, if you're a fan of the Justice League animated the Justice League animated series that came out during the early 2000s, or if you're a fan of the DC animated universe in general, you would totally your brain would totally connect this picture of Batman and Wonder Woman to the picture of Bruce and Diana when they met in the Justice League Unlimited animated series. And I love that dynamic they did in the animated series. I thought it was awesome. I never really liked the New 52's direction with with Superman and Wonder Woman. Never liked them as a couple. Always liked them more as a brother and sister type pairing, in which they understood each other at a deep family type level. But it was no romantic interest there. Always felt that Superman and Lois Lane were the ideal couple. But I loved Bruce and Diana because there was just so much chemistry in the cartoon series, nonetheless, with those two. And I'm just happy that this scene almost mirrors that animated series scene from the episode Maids of Honor. And I just hope that they touch upon it. I want them to go heavy on a romance with them too, but just like how the Justice League universe did it, they didn't dive into a relationship with them two, but they always gave little nudges, little hints that they do care about each other in a more romantic way. But they didn't like throw it in our faces. They just gave us little hints, and I hope they do that throughout this universe, because I think that those two characters are just built for so much potential, chemistry, because of Batman's characteristics and Wonder Woman's characteristics. They're both being warriors, but Batman's a little more intense, of course. As we get to the next picture, which we go through real quick, we've already seen this, but it's still awesome to look at. It's the bat suit. Looks badass, we've already seen it, and just a little more, you can see it probably a little bit more detail. The suit looks like one big Kevlar suit. Look back, Ben Affleck must have had, did a lot of working out to fit in the suit, but at the same time, the suit looks badass with nobody in it. So imagine how badass it's gonna look when you see Ben Affleck walking around in it, though. The next one is one I really want to hit on too, is Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Now Jesse Eisenberg has hair in the scene. The fanboys scream out, "Oh no, he looks crazy. He looks like Kurt Cobain," which he actually does with the way he's get it up. He looks a little like Kurt Cobain. But at the same time, Lex Luthor has had hair in the comic book interpretations of the Superman comics and any other interpretations of the DC universe. Lex Luthor is known to have had hair early in his life. He lost it in many different ways within the comics. We could all name the many different ways he lost his hair. But, it's just not unprecedented that he has hair at one point or another. Gene Hackman had hair in the original Superman series. In the Smallville TV series, You know, their Lex Luthor had hair when he was a child. So, and he lost it when Superman landed on Earth. So, you know, in majority of these interpretations of Lex Luthor, he does have hair, and we all know from the pictures that Entertainment Weekly released a lot earlier this year, Jesse Eisenberg is bald in the movie. So we know eventually he loses the hair. So anybody who's bugging out, relax. Everything is going to be okay when it comes to the hair. That's the most important thing. Most important thing I'm worried about is how he's going to be portrayed by Jesse Eisenberg. The look in this picture, you know, we're trying to draw something from it. I don't want to draw too much from it because it's probably not much to draw from it. But the intensity in this look, you know, he looks intense. He looks like he's thinking. He looks like a tortured genius in many ways. He looks like he has a lot of issues, you know, and he has a lot of things running through his head at this moment. So, you know, he's probably thinking of Superman and all the implications of what Superman means to this world. If this is his office looks awesome. You know, he has some very different type of statues in the back, the painting in the back. Somebody said that the painting might be a painting of Leonidas and his 300 warriors who fought against the Persians. Kind of like, you know, I'm not sure if that's it, but somebody said it might be it. If it's not, then I guess it's not. If it is, that's a cool callback to one of Zack Snyder's earlier films. But that's one of the performances I'm most anticipating, is that Jesse Eisenberg performance. I hope that, you know, we get to see a little bit more in their new release trailer when it eventually releases out to us. And I mean, I really think that, you know, he could bring a new perspective and a new interpretation of Lex Luthor as it pertains to his relationship with Superman. As we get to the next picture, it's basically another picture we've seen already, especially if you was able to see the footage leaked from last year's Comic-Con. Batman is calling out Superman with the bat signal. It's really nothing new. The bat signal is the bat signal is a bat interpretation from The Dark Knight Returns with the more thick bat signal. But other than that, you know, Batman's in his metal battle suit, you know, getting ready to fight Superman. They're in the rain, so most likely this is like, you know, a prelude to what is the eventual battle they will have. But yeah, it looks awesome though. It does look cool. And then we have this picture that was also seen in the teaser trailers with you know, Superman, you know, standing in the middle of a crowd just trying to touch him. It looks like they're trying to praise him. And, you know, he's looking up in the air and he looks unsure of, like, does he really want this? I think that's one of the things they're really going to tackle in this movie is Superman being perceived as this biblical and godlike figure. I mean, you know, does Superman understand what, you know, I mean, his father said it in the last movie. Like he said, son, when you reveal yourself to this world, you're going to change everything. And I want you to make sure that you're ready to do it. You know, that's one of the reasons why his father wanted to keep his identity safe, because I think Superman in this movie is really going to get a, you know, a whole bunch of, you know, unwanted attention from people, like unwanted responsibility, you know, and he's going to have to figure out whether he should embrace it or maybe, like, you know, detract from it, you know. But it's going to be a very interesting thing. I hope they tackle well in the movie. And then the next picture they released was basically some behind the scene photos of, you know, Ben Affleck and Zack Snyder. No idea. We've seen a couple of like on-set photos with them in this scene, but no idea what this scene implicates. You know, we also got some dialogue, and the dialogue I also want to touch on a little. And I believe the dialogue that they was able to receive was kind of interesting. It's very brief, but basically it's Ben Affleck that's talking, and I'm Zack Snyder that's talking about the film. And it's Ben Affleck basically talking about how he, in many ways, feels that Batman is related to Hamlet. That Batman is a character, of course, has been portrayed by many different people. And he's been put out there in many different interpretations, sometimes silly like George Clooney or Adam West, sometimes kind of gothic and serious like Michael Keaton, and sometimes very dark and gritty and serious like Christian Bale. You know, so it's many different interpretations, and I think that Ben Affleck felt that that was the best way for him to tackle it, is not try to mimic anybody else's interpretation, but make it his own, but still keeping the essence of what the character is, like many actors do with Hamlet and any other Shakespearean character, which I think is a good way for Ben Affleck to tackle this character. Another line that really interests me was when Ben Affleck stated that Batman in this movie is a character, and I quote, he's at the end of his run and maybe the end of his life. So, I'm looking at this Batman as a Batman that's probably been at it for a couple of decades, maybe, in his 40s, and probably, a very grizzled and weary Batman. Ben Affleck also said there's a sort of world weariness to it. He says that Batman in this film is on the verge of being swallowed up by the anger and the rage that we see haunt this character and other manifestations of it. But this guy is further down the line and has become more embittered and cynical. That is Batman, and that is actually Batman's characteristics even more so after the death of Robin. Now, we've all seen the scene in the teaser trailer where you kind of see another suit behind Batman. And a lot of people are guessing it is Robin, and maybe Robin's going to be mentioned in this film. But if they do tackle that, that would make perfect sense, because Batman, after Jason Todd's death, who was the second Robin, Batman became he was already dark and very somber and very just he was already Batman, but he almost went to the villain level of of what he was afraid he would become after Jason Todd's death. It wasn't until Tim Drake, the third Robin, came and kind of pulled him back and kind of brought him back down to earth, that Batman was kept from crossing that line that he so tried not to cross early in his career. So Batman being that person right now in this movie who's just very cynical, who thinks the worst of everybody, and who's just very, has all this built up anger and rage and is trying to keep it under, but it's just about to explode. I think that's going to be a very interesting interpretation for, Ben Affleck to tackle with this Batman. A Batman that's, just probably on the brink of just going mad and going crazy, and when this Superman guy comes in, he sees him as a possible, of course, as a possible threat to humanity. And maybe in this movie, Batman is not only just fighting him because of maybe a point of view type reason, you're a threat to humanity, but maybe he's taking out some anger issues that he personally has on Superman. On probably, that's why I'm starting to think that too. Maybe Batman is picking a fight with this guy, saying, you know what, I could kick anybody else's ass. Let me challenge the strongest guy in this world right now. Maybe I live, maybe I die, but I just want to fight somebody. I want to get this anger out. And I think that might be a cool way to see it too. A guy who's just going through so much and just willing to pick a fight with anybody right now. And there were some other minor quotes and that came out so far for the from the issue that's coming out. Zack Snyder describing how he first pitched, dumping a whole bunch of kryptonite off at the Wayne Manor for the end of Man of Steel, but the studio said, nah, I don't think that's great. And it's probably right, it's probably a little too much. They kept Man of Steel a Superman movie, which is cool. They gave a little wink at Batman with the satellite. I think that's cool already. But, overall, these pictures was awesome, man. I'm hyped, I'm hyped for next week's Comic-Con. Can't wait to see how these guys, talk about their characters and stuff like that. I hope this film is awesome, man. It looks good so far. They haven't given me any reason to be totally worried, man. They could do so much with this film, man. This film could be epic. And, I know that a lot of you guys are hoping the same thing, regardless of if you're a Marvel or Batman fan or DC fan or whatever. I know you all want this movie to succeed. Majority of you, deep inside, whether you say no, I know you want this movie to succeed, because that means so much more for comic book movies in general, man. The possibilities, the reputation for our comic book movies, could grow even more with the success of this movie. It's great for everybody. I'm so hyped. Batman is my favorite comic book character of all time, and to see him face off against one of the legendary comic book characters in Superman, and also have assistance of Wonder Woman in the movie, is classic. And I love that they're giving, girls a chance to, not even gonna say girls, women, a chance to have a strong superhero presence in this movie. No offense to any female superheroes in the past, comic book movies, but Wonder Woman is, at the epicenter of that. She is the female icon when it comes to superheroes. So, I hope this movie's great, man. Batman v Superman, this movie is, in my opinion, the most anticipated movie of next year. Sound off below if you guys want to talk about it. What y'all think about the pictures? Do y'all think anything I said was wrong? Do you have any other bits of information that might have came out that I didn't pick up on, feel free to sound off below. If y'all didn't like what I said, get at me. You know, we could do a little reply battle at the bottom, and I'll prove that I'm right. Nah, just kidding. No, I'm not. But yeah, don't forget, man, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice comes out next year, March 25th, 2016. I wish I could get my tickets now, but unfortunately I can't. And I'm going to sound off right now, and next week we get ready for Comic-Con and see what other information that we get from all the other superhero properties and movies coming out later this year and next year. All right, guys, have a safe day. Enjoy your Independence Day. Spend the time with your family. Have a lot of barbecue. Get a little fat this weekend. And remember that we all have a mic, so don't forget to share your voice, all right? God bless. One.
Yeah, come on. I like that, y'all. I like that. Yeah, I like that.